Hello, great people. The suspicion of a crack in the presidency and alleged rift between President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima further manifest during the book launch of the former Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Bello Adoke. At the event, Vice President Kashim Shettima asserts that Nigeria's president does not have the power to remove an elected councillor, not to talk of a sitting governor. You will recall that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his principal, recently declared a state of emergency in Rivers State, wherein he sacked Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the state lawmakers. Is Shettima trying to throw a subtle jab at President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Is there a cold war between Shettima and Bola Ahmed Tinubu? We'll watch the video of Shettima in a moment. Then when we come back, we'll be dissecting the message in that particular video for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and we'll be looking at the defense of the presidency, or if you like, you can call it a damage control. Then also, if Shettima is to address Adoke, the former Attorney General of the Federation, without throwing shade at his principal, what are the approach that he can use? And I will be kind of like analyzing for you what I call the soft approach and alternative choice. I will be giving you those two as the alternative action to what Kashim Shettima did. And also, we'll be looking at the politics between Kashim Shettima and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as 2027 approaches. We'll be dissecting all these and more on this episode with your short plug, Dr. Omoshola. First, let us go and watch the video of Vice President Kashim Shettima. Then we'll come back for some great discussion. Let's watch it.
In the last 4 years of the Jonathan administration, I was the most demonized person. I was the public enemy number one. And there are two gentlemen seated here. Certain decisions are taken in a little reactive cycle. The president, the vice president, the Senate president, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. In one of such contexts, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan DCFR, with whom we have shared the sword and have now recalibrated our relationship, was putting the idea of removing this governor. And Aminu Wadiri Tambwa, the then Speaker of the House of Representatives, had the courage to tell the President that, Your Excellency, you don't have the power to remove an elected council. The President was still not convinced. He wanted the idea of the Federal Executive Council. I admire Mr. Mohammed Bello Adoke, fundamentally for his courage and for his convictions and for his capacity to stand for what he believes in. He told the then president that, Mr. President, you do not have the power to remove a sitting governor, not even a council. The so-called opinion of another SAN in the cabinet, Kabir Buraki, who says, I'm concurring with the opinion of my senior colleague. That was how the matter was laid to rest, but that was how my relationship with Mr. Bello Adoke and Aminu Wadiri Tambwa became entirely sealed.
There you have it. Let us dissect the message in that particular video. And afterward, I'll be unveiling to you how Vice President Kashim Shettima could have passed his message in that video without causing harm or injury to his principal, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And to achieve that, I'll be coming under two principles, which is that of soft approach and the principle of alternative choice, which are the principles that Vice President Kashim Shettima could have adopted in order not to cause harm or injury to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But because the presidency is debunking the message that Kashim Shettima is passing in that particular video, they are saying, no, all is fine between Shettima and Tinubu. Well, let me first say that Kashim Shettima has no history of mental ailment. Kashim Shettima is a sane person. He left his home. He dressed up in his agbada and he decided to attend that particular occasion. So he has no history of mental ailment. That established. Also, Kashim Shettima is very knowledgeable about the policies of the Tinubu government. So he is aware that his principal declared a state of emergency in Rivers State. So Kashim Shettima is fully aware of this. Now, having laid that background, I would tell you the message that Kashim Shettima has passed in that particular video, which is that first, Kashim Shettima is saying in that particular video that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not consult, that he is running a one-man show, in the sense that if Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the type that consults before declaring a state of emergency, definitely they would have told him. Even Kashim Shettima would have told the president that, no, Mr. President, you cannot declare a state of emergency to the extent of sacking an elected governor and the state lawmakers. Because during my time, former President Goodluck Jonathan tried it, and this was how he was resisted. So the message that Kashim Shettima is passing in that particular video is that in the presidency, Tinubu doesn't consult before taking decision, because if he consults, definitely Shettima would have told him. And that implies that the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is apparently running a one-man show in the presidency. And if that is not the case, if Tinubu consults, then that means that Kashim Shettima is telling us in that video that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu doesn't listen. No, it's one of the two. It's either he doesn't consult or he consults and at the end of the day, he doesn't listen. That is one of the crucial message that Kashim Shettima is passing in that particular video. And another message that Shettima is passing in that video is that Tinubu, despite the fact that he is politically knowledgeable as regards what is happening in the Nigerian politics and governance, what Shettima is saying in that video is that Tinubu is a poor student of law and history. That's what Shettima is saying in that video, because if Tinubu is not a poor student of law and history, he would have known that the courts have decided on the different cases as regards this declaration of a state of emergency, and he would have known that in the history of Nigeria, during the time of Goodluck Jonathan, he declared a state of emergency without sacking the elected governor of the state. So Shettima is affirming that his principal, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, based on what Shettima said in that video, that Tinubu is a poor student of both law and history. Now, let us go into the alternative choice for Kashim Shettima. How could Shettima pass his message without throwing shade or without causing harm or injury to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Kashim Shettima could have used what we call the soft approach, and I will be giving you the example of the Buhari presidency of how they used the principle of soft approach and alternative choice during the presidency of Muhammadu Buhari. But let me tell you about soft approach. Soft approach is that, you see, something strong has happened and you want to present it, but you present it in a light way, or you decide to omit some part that will be harmful to the congregation that you are speaking to or to the parties that are involved in that particular statement itself. So in this instance, Kashim Shettima did not use the soft approach at all. If he was to use the soft approach, he could have kind of like thanked Mohammed Adoke and say, well, the former Attorney General of the Federation, I thank you for the role you played and for saving me when President Goodluck Jonathan was hell-bent on declaring a state of emergency in Borno State. You can see that that is a soft approach. The headline would have not made any meaning to it, but he went into details which made it a kind of like hard approach. And like I said earlier, that Kashim Shettima has no history of mental ailment. So Kashim Shettima is in his right senses. He knows the message is passing across and he knows what he is doing. Now, the principle of alternative choice, which is another thing that Kashim Shettima could have adopted, is that he could have choose to kind of like not speak about it, or he could have chosen to kind of like speak about it in a way that the message would be passed to the people, but then he won't talk about the state of emergency at all. He can eulogize the former Attorney General of the Federation, talk about his good deeds, talk about his kind of like wealth of legal experience and how that has helped Nigeria, and he can bring other examples other than state of emergency. I don't want to believe that the only good thing that Mohammed Adoke, apologies, did during his reign as Attorney General of the Federation was stopping the president from declaring a state of emergency. And if we look at it, Jonathan is just a soft guy with listening ears. The big question is, can you really stop a president if he truly wants to declare a state of emergency? If Jonathan was Tinubu that particular year, he may have gone ahead to declare the state of emergency. So the principle of alternative choice in this instance is that Kashim Shettima could have decided to pick other good things that Mohammed Adoke has done and present it to the public, and not use the case of a state of emergency, which is something sensitive, and now present it in details to the Nigerian public. That itself is causing injury to his principle. And I'll give you an example as a parting shot. During the reign of former President Muhammadu Buhari, you know that Buhari, as a former military head of state, he seized power from Shehu Shagari at that point in time. But when Buhari was president, anytime they are in a public forum, these APC guys or the politicians at large, those that are sympathetic to Muhammadu Buhari, they don't talk about the harm that the military has done to Nigeria's democracy. The only thing that they reference is the PDP 16 years of alleged misrule. That is how they reference it. They were saying PDP 16 years of misrule as if the military never governed Nigeria for a totality of about 30-something years. So you can see that that is adopting the principle of alternative choice, because they know at that point in time that if they are reminiscing about the harm that the military has done to Nigeria's democracy and development, they will be hurting their principle. In the person of Muhammadu Buhari, that is the principle of alternative choice. In fact, I can say that during the reign of Muhammadu Buhari, it was only one person that kind of like spoke against the action of the military, the action that the military has taken before democracy in Nigeria, and that person is Muhammadu Buhari himself, when he recognized MKO as the winner of the June 12 election and he declared June 12 Democracy Day. It was Buhari that is the military head of state, the perpetrator of the coup, that was even criticizing the action of the military under Ibrahim Babangida. All other politicians, whether Buhari is present or not, they don't usually talk about the military intervention in politics. That is the principle of alternative choice. So Shettima has the principle of soft approach to have adopted, and you also have the principle of alternative choice to have adopted while speaking at the book launch of Mohammed Bello Adoke. Is there a rift between Kashim Shettima? Is this going to lead to the politics of 2027, and what will be the implication of this on the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewal of mandate in 2027? They are still denying it, but then things will come to light in the days ahead. It's been an interesting time with you on this episode of Politics with your short blog, Dr. Omoshola. Did you subscribe? Turn on your notification button. Catch up with my past videos. See you in my next video. I love you all sincerely.